All right. So what are we talking about? We're just recapping
Recapping.dev.
from .dev. Yeah. So we started on Sunday.
Yep.
God, what happened on Sunday?
I had a hell of a time getting here.
Oh yeah, you did, didn't you?
Yeah.
Every trip that we've done, there's a helicopter right now.
There is a
It's
helicopter.
hilarious. But every trip that we've done so far this year that you've flown out for work, you
Something
had
happened.
some sort of issue with airfare. Like
Yeah.
airfares,
So
right?
for Shop Talk, it was the TSA shutdown.
Oh yeah,
I
I
was
forgot about that.
I was in the TSA line for 4 hours at Atlanta,
Oh geez.
or maybe it was like 3, but that was an experience. The line wrapped around like not only the entire baggage claim area, like snake style, but then also outside to the pickup area. Like it was
That's insane.
it was legitimately the craziest thing I've ever
Because
seen
you have
at an
like
airport.
pre-check too.
Yeah, I pre-checked it.
Yeah.
I've
And then
never seen that many people throw tantrums in like there's like nothing anybody could do about it.
I would throw a tantrum. Yeah.
I was just totally zen. I was just like, you know what? This is an
Accept your
opportunity for me
life.
to exercise my
Yeah.
patience. There's nothing I can do.
Yeah, it's your life now.
Yeah.
What happened this time?
This time, I think maybe it was like the fires or something, but
Some fires, mechanical error, or something.
something, because my first flight got canceled. It was supposed to go out at 8, and then the next flight, and then Delta's app was giving me all sorts of problems, which I think you've had experience with.
Yeah, it's been broken for me for like a year.
Yeah. So I couldn't reschedule the flight without getting in touch with support. So that was a whole thing, because there was like a 2-hour wait. I got kicked off their text support a couple times, like text support a couple times. Finally got that sorted. My flight was supposed to go out at 7:30, got delayed to 9:30 and then to 10:30. I finally got in at about 12:30 into Toronto, and then
Fun.
yeah.
In the meantime, I did a World Cup watch party. Not one of like the bigger ones that was going around this Sunday, but still a fun one there. And got to watch that and experience that. It was really fun walking around Toronto and just seeing basically the World Cup fever that was going on. And it's like if you're walking downtown, if a bar has the World Cup on because of all of the noise, all of the sound, just the sound of the crowds and everything. That's just glued to those TVs in Toronto. It was actually really, really cool.
It was interesting because I was in the Atlanta International Terminal during the World Cup final. So that was interesting because you got people from all over the world, right?
Yeah.
Just crowding around these airport bars trying to watch the game.
Yeah.
It was cool. It actually was kind of a cool experience.
Oh, how fun.
Silver Light.
Yeah, that's a different, that must be a different vibe there for that.
Did you get a chance to meet up with anybody like in the Shopify community for the World Cup?
For the World Cup, I only met up with a few people afterward, but not during the World Cup. We
Okay.
had a couple of, like people we were trying to like coordinate with and stuff, but I ended up doing a smaller watch party or something.
Yeah.
And then Monday
Monday.
feels like so long ago.
It does.
Monday, we had the Zapiet YOLO
Epic Party.
Epic
Epic
Party.
YOLO Party.
Yeah, that's right. Which was epic as always. We co-sponsored that one.
Very epic.
And Andy and Emily from Zapiet they know how to throw a party. And
They sure did. We had breakfast with them this morning too. It was good to catch up with them.
Yeah, but that was super fun, and it's like an opportunity just to like be out and about, and just like see everyone who we've developed relationships with over like the course of 10 years.
Yeah, and that's really to me what this is all about. You can go to .dev and like you can attend the talks and you can get all the updates, but you can also read about that next week.
Right.
For me, this is about the community. This is about seeing people in person that you work with virtually all year, for the most part, and being able to like bring that in-person element to those relationships that are typically virtual. That's what's really special about .dev to me.
Yeah. And we've always used the opportunity to create and like foster relationships with people on the inside, people who are in and at Shopify, the Shopify folk that are out there, people on the product team, the API teams who need to know, what the merchant use cases that we're running up against and the limitations that we kind of need to surpass and get over in order to support all the great brands that we're working with here. It's been frustrating at times, but it is what it is. Like you got to make those needs known and then help them push the platform forward, whether or not you agree with their decisions or not. So
It's also nice when there are like certain partners or whatever that you try to connect with virtually, and it can be tough to like make that happen. But then when you put somebody in person, it's like they're just right there. You can just talk to them, have a conversation.
Yeah.
We had a couple experiences like that where it's like, oh my gosh, we need to talk to you. Like what's what I mean?
Yeah. Just walking.
Just walking around. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think anybody who's out there who's thinking about or attending .dev next time or next year, make sure you're wearing your logo somewhere, because then that way, if we don't know your face already, we'll know your logo. We'll stop you and talk to you. Like we'll at least say hi, at least get to know each other. And actually, one of the things that I really love is when this happened last year as well, just the opportunity to meet our, competitors,
For sure.
right?
Yeah.
Like it's really interesting. Like some competitors don't want to meet you.
Some competitors want to block.
They don't want to be around. But we've been in this community for a long time. We've been order editing since 2015, right?
Oh, gee.
And there have been copycats, there have been competitors. They come and go, they appear and they disappear. And ultimately, you're all in the same community, you're serving the same people, but it's not a zero-sum game. There's plenty of room in the ecosystem for everyone.
Yeah.
And, like people at Microsoft don't not talk to people at Google, right? People at Klaviyo don't not talk to people at, say, like Attentive, right? Are they mortal enemies? Dude, it's just software, man.
Yeah.
Like get to know each other. Even if you're competing with somebody out there, my advice to you, I've been here for a long time. All right. Like get to know each other, help each other out. Maybe there's a merchant or a brand that, isn't the right fit for you. You could throw them to someone else. Right. There's nothing wrong with that. There's plenty of room in the ecosystem. And it's not a zero-sum game.
Yeah, and like learn where you really shine. Like where's your niche, right? Like who are you really serving the best when it comes down to it?
Yeah.
That's really and when you look at it that way, there's room. There really is room for lots of different players in the space.
Right.
It's that simple.
Yeah. And especially, sometimes when I see it like, we kind of need to gang up on Shopify
It's true.
and the API teams, or of the areas that we care about to say, hey, like this is a big use case. We're not the only ones who are doing stuff like this, right? And who better than the people, the apps, the developers who are in your space, the ones you're competing against, to say, hey, actually, yeah, this is a big use case that we want to support too. And for the love of God, can you do it? So
Any coming to mind right now?
yeah. Hey, Jeremy, talk to me about sales taxes and line item properties. I know you're sick of hearing from me. You know where to find.
Yep. Line item properties. So yeah, Monday we had the Epic YOLO Party. That was really fun.
Seriously epic.
Tuesday, the conference started in earnest.
Right.
So we were there. I got to just kind of hang out, see some talks, talk to a lot of people. Then that night we had the Cowboy Corral at the Paris Saloon. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's always a great.
Everyone's always decked out in their like Western outfits.
Yep.
Denim on denim, cowboy hats, the whole nine.
Yeah.
And it's just, I can't believe we packed so many people in that bar.
Oh, there's so many people. There's so many people. And actually, I was just glad that I wear a lot of denim. So like, I was just being myself.
Yeah. I mean, you're wearing denim right now?
Yeah, pretty much. Is this denim? This is like a chaperon.
Yeah,
I guess it's kind of.
It could pass as though at a distance.
It is. I guess it's technically denim. But I was in my full Canadian
tuxedo,
like super denim.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, really, really fun time, and I think that, and we're so tired at the end because we've been at .dev all day, but the magic really happens at the end, doesn't it?
It's true. Yeah.
And
I think that was that the first time we got sumac? I can't remember. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was. We went to sumac for shawarma afterward, which it's incredible, like so delicious. And but I think every time we stay, like we go the distance, right?
Yes.
And I think staying through the event, no matter how tired we are, we just love connecting with people. I love connecting with people, and it's an opportunity, when you're going that far, as the crowds thin out a little bit, things get a little tighter, conversations get a little bit more free and uninhibited for various reasons.
Yes, for various reasons.
And they always end up being a really great time. And some of our best connections, some of my best connections over the years have been, a result of going the distance like that.
Yeah, absolutely. It reminds me of one of my favorite Toronto bands songs, of The Beaches.
The beaches. Oh,
Last
we
Girls
saw them
at the
last year.
Party, I think, is the name of the song.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so we're the last app at the party, usually. Yeah, shout out to the beaches.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's always really cool because, I think that, especially at the end of the day, after like a long day at the conference, everyone's just, really excited to be together and just to like kind of talk, share, their experiences and just kind of branch out and like expand not just like expand their network, but just also like make those like real connections. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, it is special. It's cool.
Yeah. So okay. Wednesday. What do you think about Wednesday?
Yeah, Wednesday. Wednesday is when
We had meetings all day.
we had
Wednesday.
meetings all day on Wednesday.
Good meetings.
Good meetings. Good, yes, very good meetings. Wednesday was the day where, the length of the week starts to kick in a little bit. So it was a little bit more of like feeling like, you're in the marathon, but you can see the end. You're getting close to the end. And then we had the block party. That was really fun.
Wait, that was really cool.
That was great.
That was one of the most fun concepts that Shopify has put on in a while, especially because I think last year they kept Summit and, .dev, Editions.dev, whatever they were calling it, like very separated. And, you couldn't, like, there was no intermingling or mixing. And this year it was combined, and so
Yeah.
ultimately there were 6,000 Shopify folk out there on that street, which we all took over, and then 2,000 attendees from .dev, 8,000 people. That's a lot of people.
It kind of blew my mind because I was like,
That's bigger
I
than
can't believe how many
concert
people are
venues.
here. Yeah, it's
I've
like
been to
massive.
smaller concert venues and that for sure.
Easily. Yeah.
I
I almost couldn't believe it when because I walked over from the hotel and I could hear, obviously, from a pretty far distance, the band was playing, and then I got closer and closer, and I saw the crowd, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. It was a great call to have live music like that. I love live music.
Yeah.
We love live music, and it was a really good time. It just kind of like served to drive the energy for the whole thing. So whoever idea was that, like, really good job. And then I was like walking the street. First of all, I went towards the stage first, like coming out of the automotive building. Went towards the stage first, hung out there, and then saw like the rest around the corner and went down there. And there was a harpist, which
I
was
missed the harpist.
interesting.
Kind of
That was kind of fun.
That was cool.
And then I was like, wow, this is a good amount of stuff. And then when we walked the other way to check out the other food trucks, like, there was the Philly cheesesteak one, there was the ice cream truck. I thought that was it. And then I kept looking, I kept going, and it just kept going. I'm like, oh my God, there's more.
Yeah, and there were some like kind of like nooks and crannies too that kind of like
Yeah.
split off in like weird directions. Like there was a lot to the block party.
I don't think you made it to the end.
I don't think
There was like a whole like there's a Jays game on, like the big like sports
Oh,
area.
cool.
There were people actually playing basketball, which was insane. And then I don't remember quite what else because there's a lot of stuff. But they're the break dancers that we missed twice. We tried so hard to go see them.
Yeah.
I was a little bummed about that.
I was a little bummed too. But at the end of the day, I guess breakdancing is a high intensity activity, so you can't expect them to do it too long.
Yeah, I guess so. I expected like a 20-minute performance or so for
Yeah.
So I've seen 20-minute performances. But yeah, it was. I think it was a massively successful with that. And then the closing band was really, really good. They kept the energy up. It was excellent time.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, and then after that, we went to the Drake Hotel for drinks. eHouse had sponsored a little event there, like as an after party. Went and said hi really quickly, and there was like a close-up magician, super fun. It was drag queens, close-up musicians, like what's not to love. And then we went to shawarma again because it was so good.
We had to. We might go again.
I'm getting Tupperware later, and I have a long haul flight to San Diego after this, before I even go home. And so I will be buying some shawarma so I can take on my trip home.
You're crazy for that, but I support you.
Thanks, Josh. I really appreciate your support. Yeah, what was anything stand out this week for you?
I mean, I think that the Cowboy Corral party really stood out to me. I think it's difficult to have an environment that's that crowded and that lively and really feels like a party, but also, in an environment where you can still have conversations, like you're not like, you know what I mean, unable to like hear people. That's like a tough balance to strike. I feel like connecting, making connections with like some folks from like the reactive marketing team, and like just being able to chat with them, meeting a bunch of other people in the GTM space in e-commerce. It's really cool, and just kind of connect about that. So this is a developer conference, so it's nice to connect. For me, it's nice to connect with like GTM people and sales people or marketing people.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I almost forgot about like kind of the opening brunch that I would see, which was I think Monday morning. Really great event. That was over at the Ace Hotel. So attended that, and I am so sorry that I forgot who was hosting that, but we'll tag them in the thing later or something. But just met so many familiar faces, but also a lot of new faces and some really great people who I ended up connecting with, also later in the week. Maria comes to mind, where we had a really great conversation about what she's doing in AI right now for their agency, how they're thinking about things for the agency there. And then later on, she gave me a big download about what she picked up and learned from the River session, their session about River at .dev. Shop Talk talked about, or sorry, Shopify talked about their, what they're building as their internal AI brain for the
Interesting.
company. Yeah.
That is really
And
interesting.
ultimately, it's actually a lot. We have a much scaled down version of that, obviously, but it's very similar to the systems that we have in place already. And so, where, for us, we have everything runs into a massive single database where we're collecting all of our HubSpot information, our Fathom stuff, things in Notion, things like it knows about the code base, it knows about our customers, it knows about the merchants. It has, tons of security guardrails, but the way we've designed that is that it's like safe by design. So that PII, for example, is never exposed, tokens are never exposed, just so that the AI, rather than telling it what not to do, it's structurally just not able to do things that it's not supposed to do.
Yeah.
And that gives it so much more power that we're able to use for, like you're able to ask questions of it, like that cross-cut so many concerns across the company that you would otherwise have to like really dig around and find the right people to talk to.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
even at our size, like we're fairly small, so like exactly who to talk to for every answer there. But even then, you just don't have to bother those people and cause context switches and stuff like that.
Yeah, and even just like the ability to like get in one prompts, like, oh, what do I need to know about this merchant? Like, what hell sport tickets have they, potentially submitted in the past? Have they ever been installed before? When are they? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
just getting like, have we ever met with them in the past?
Right.
What all of that information can just get returned to me.
Yeah.
Without me having to go and find it.
Yeah.
And that's huge.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I think that's really where, from my perspective, that's really where AI shines. Like, and where it's the most useful is just the ability to consolidate all of that information to one place.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. It's for us. It's not a matter of replacing jobs. It's what it is a superpower for everybody who's involved. And if you build the right systems for it, it's a massive, massive superpower. Laura, who heads up our customer support, she has a very built out Claude code installation. She doesn't code, but she has a self-improving system that knows how to, not only find tickets and recall tickets and recall solutions for things, but it can dig through the code for her. She could ask it questions that she would otherwise have to ask our engineers.
Yep.
She can, if somebody has an issue, then she can have it search through our production logs and our exception reports and everything to find out if there is really a bug, or if it's kind of a known limitation with Shopify, or a workaround is available. And what that allows us to do is just serve more customers just massively better, and keep our engineers on task, keep Laura's extraordinarily productive. And it's been really a game changer for the level of power that she has to serve our merchants. So I think it's really the end goal of AI. Yeah, it's not replacement, but superpowers.
Agreed. Are there any other trends you've noticed talking to other devs and other apps about how they're using AI?
Oh, I think people have been. What I found interesting is that there's of course a lot of talk about AI. A lot of people everybody's using it, right, and especially on the code side. It's been interesting for me to find out where people are among stages of adoption, and people tend to be kind of all over the place, but what's true is that everyone is using it, and everyone is finding out how it fits into the organization. And so that's been really interesting to find out. And I also have been learning about how they're thinking about their setups for AI, whether they're setting up agents for every department, or they're really using more of a human in the loop kind of approach, or a kind of like a human driver and orchestrator of it. And so that's been really fun there.
Have you heard like any more just like chatter, especially from like the Shopify team itself, about the way that AI development specifically is impacting the App Store?
Yeah. There was the Wednesday morning talk with Toby, the keynote with Toby and Harley, where they did mention something about, I don't think they got too deep into this, but something about that they will be building or developing some strategy alongside Atlee Clark, who heads up partnerships and ecosystems. They'll be developing some sort of strategy, about how to deal with copycats, how to deal with, basically the slop apps that are coming out here. At this point, they're they're approving or reviewing at least 1,000 new apps per month.
Wow. What was it at before? Do you know?
I don't know, but I believe as of February, their February volume had increased by 250% year over year.
That's wild.
And at this point, it was like 1,000 apps per month or so. And that's a lot. That's a lot of apps, and it's a lot of apps, and it's a lot of apps. Let's be frank here. A lot of them are my first developer's first app here, right?
Yeah.
And people just trying their hand on it. There's no problem with that,
Sure.
Sure. But I think there's a balance to be struck here where, businesses need apps that they can depend on, and, quality indicators about what apps are dependable and versus not. Reviews are one thing, but then, seeing how that noise kind of bubbles up into the system is going to make things more difficult on merchants, and also more difficult on, established apps like us, where if somebody's, offering something that they ultimately are not able to operate at the high enough level for real merchant use cases, then, that creates frustrated merchants. And even by the time they get to us, I mean, you've seen this as well. Merchants sometimes get to us and they're extraordinarily frustrated already. And we have to, we're there helping them pick up the pieces.
Yeah.
It's a harder job for us at that point compared to if they just came to us in the first place.
And there have been plenty of times where I'm actively reaching out to merchants, or I'm having conversations with merchants. I'm telling them about what we do, and they say, "Oh, we tried that. It didn't work because
Right.
this, and this."
Right.
And they're just so sure.
Yeah.
Nope, doesn't work. Sorry. And it's like that's where, like, I think experience comes into play.
Yeah.
Because, like, I think that, these days anybody can vibe code an app, right? Like, I had a friend who reached out to me. He was like, "Hey, like, I know you're in the Shopify space. I was like just like doing some research on ways to, like, maybe, make some extra money. What do you think about me vibe coding like a Shopify app?" And I'm like, "Don't." Straight up, just no. Just don't do it. Trust me.
Yeah.
And I think it's because, like, I think people really underestimate the dependencies that come into play with apps within a tech stack in Shopify, especially on a platform like Shopify.
Yeah.
We're talking about the lifeblood of a business, order flow,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
at least for
for
us,
us. Yeah,
right?
for
So
us.
it's like, maybe obviously there are apps that are different than what we do, but, like, especially on, like, the order editing side, order management side, things get messed up with orders, don't mess with my money, right? It's like that. So
Yeah.
that's why I think it's really important that you work with people who not just know how to, like, throw an app together, but who have the context, the experience, and the ongoing support to make sure that it stays working for your store specifically. And that being specific there, right? It does often have to be tailored a little bit to each individual business's situation.
Yeah.
And, if you're just vibe coding an app, at least in the order management side, like order editing side, you're not necessarily going to have that experience or that context. So you're going to be putting something out there, and then you could end up, it might work for like 50% of merchants, but then the other 50%, you could potentially do some damage to their business, legitimate damage.
Yeah. You'll run into the swamp and the big rocks pretty soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, so what would your friend do? Did he end up releasing
He
an app?
didn't end up doing it.
No. I was hoping we could plug his app or something, It's like, go to Josh's friend's app. It's over at localhost 3000. Localhost:3000 is where you can find Josh's friend's app. All right. Check it out.
Well, to be fair, I told him that I didn't tell him straight up no. I mean, in my mind, I was like, no.
He just needs to know what he's up against.
He
needs to know what it's getting, because there's one thing to vibe code the app. There's one thing to even build an app. It's a whole nother thing to operate an app, and then operate it at scale for merchants who, are doing 20, 30, 50,000 orders a month, right? And you've got to make sure all those systems are humming.
Exactly.
Right? Because they're depending on you to do your job.
And you got to support
That's why, that's why they're using your app, right? Because they're using your app to order to accomplish a job, and they expect you to do it.
Yeah, nobody downloads an app unless they're trying to solve a problem.
Right.
Right. And, if your solution ends up making the problem if the solution ends up making the problem worse or just creates other problems, that's something you need to be aware of, right?
Yeah.
It's not something that you should just walk into blindly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other what other topics of conversations did you have this week that
Yeah.
stand out for right now?
So I had a lot of conversations with some different folks in sales and like marketing, specifically on the e-commerce side. AI was a point of like conversation a lot. And I think that like using like generative AI specifically for outreach was a conversation I had with a lot of different people. We've kind of found, just in our space, like it's not really something that we want to lean on too much because everybody's doing it. It's saturating the space really bad.
And it sounds stupid.
It sounds stupid.
Like everyone sees those emails, right?
Everybody sees those emails. Everybody ignores those emails.
Yeah.
And that's kind of really what it comes down to is like the conversation just kept coming back to email doesn't really work anymore because AI ruined it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's impossible to, as the receiver of those emails to know if someone is being actually authentic or not.
Yes.
Like if you're seeing another, that your 10th email today that says you're leaking revenue,
Right.
or you're leaving money on the table, or, I could generate 1,000 creatives for you. Would you be interested? Can I create an AI act for you, and send you an example? Just go away, man.
I think that the fundamentals that I've learned being in sales for over a decade are really what works best. I think what's difficult is how to stand out in a very, very loud environment.
Yeah.
Like curiosity ultimately wins in sales and marketing. Like if you're more curious about your customers than you are, pitching your own product, you will win. It's just a matter of the challenge for, I think, a lot of GTM people now, and it's not just in e-commerce, it's across the board and SaaS, and especially in SaaS. It's how do you get attention? You have to be the old model is kind of dead. The idea of you just send, up your volume and the results will follow. Across the board, even on D2C side, I was having conversations with people on like D2C marketing. That doesn't really work anymore.
Yeah.
You can't expect volume to solve those problems anymore. So I think that when it really comes down to it, you just have to get really, really specific about who you serve and why, the niche thing, right? Who do you actually serve best? And when you're reaching out to them, probably don't do it via email, like at all, to be honest. LinkedIn seems to work pretty well.
Yeah. Even then, that's pretty crowded.
It is pretty crowded.
Kind of a disaster.
But it works better though. It works better than email.
Yeah.
And when you do reach out, I think the thing is like don't start with the pitch. That's the mistake that I think everybody makes. Like show that you actually cared enough to learn something about them and their business and give them an example of how you can help them solve a problem. Make it about them.
Yeah.
Like the problem with like all the like the cold emails that I get, and I get a lot of them, as I'm sure you do too.
Oh yeah.
It's all me. Me, and it's like,
Yeah.
Bro, shut up. Go away. I don't care. I'm busy.
It was like, I know you're a robot.
Yeah. That too. At the same time, like this is just like another.
Not only is it a robot, it's like a dumb robot.
It's a dumb robot.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I think that also it's just like putting yourself out there in other ways too, like posting about like at the end of the day too, when it comes to sales, marketing, etc. Nobody is going to be able to sell your product better than your own customers. So how do you like get your customers to do that job for you? First and foremost, you got to serve them really well.
Yeah.
You got to make sure your customers love you and that they know, how well you're going to be able to take care of them and how responsive you are and how great of a job you're going to do.
Yeah.
Then, just ask them to share case studies, reviews, whatever it might be. That's ultimately, if you want to go far in any space, don't focus on, just spamming people to death. Like focus on serving your customers really well.
Yeah.
And then giving them the microphone, giving them the megaphone to spread the good word for you. That's ultimately, I think, what works best.
I think that's great tips for like app developers out there and, just trying to grow and advance your business there, Speaking of which, on Wednesday at the Cowboy Corral, I talked to somebody who, and I can't remember his name, but
Wait, who was it?
I think it's Rashid?
Oh, was it the dude from the Mantle Talk?
Yeah, from the Mantle Talk. Yeah.
Oh man, I can't remember.
Starts with an R. I have a picture of you, dude. I remember we are. He may have posted something already, but here, I know your face. I don't always remember names, but I'm thinking of you right now. So
I met you too.
Yeah,
we had a good chat. I remember he's from
India, right?
Yes, no, definitely India, but like either Bangalore or Bangladesh. I think he's a solo dev and he has 3 apps.
2 apps.
2 apps? I thought
2
you had
apps.
3.
One's a sales rep thing, and the other one is a
B2B.
terms and conditions. It's a sort of terms and conditions app.
Okay. He was telling me he was working on like a B2B app.
Yeah, the B2B app is the sales rep app.
Oh, got it.
Somebody came up to me and he told me that he like thanked you for the mantle talk that I did last year. And we also had a long conversation afterward that year. After that, where I was talking about pricing, I was sharing our pricing story and the experiments that we did and how pricing is the biggest lever that you can pull as an app developer. And that gave them ultimately the courage to go in and raise his prices, and he 4x'd, maybe 5x'd his prices for his app.
Yeah, he told me it went from 99 cents
99 cents
to $4.99.
Yeah, and which was amazing. And he ran the playbook that I laid out there, where he grandfathered his existing customers, and then for new customers, $4.99. And what he found was that his installs actually increased. Merchants were just taking it more seriously.
Yep.
And then ultimately, he was able to 4x his revenue, and he quit his job. He quit his job to work in apps full time, and then launched another app.
So cool.
Yeah, I mean, it was, nothing else this week. There's a lot of people I love in this ecosystem, like a lot of old friends, people who we've stayed in touch with over 10 years, even if they started early on in their career at Shopify and have grown into founders and executives and, but more importantly, just like close, really good friends. But, I love you all. But hearing this story this year it's the highlight of my year.
Oh, I totally understand.
The fact that the talk was there to help people, and it helped someone.
Yep.
And it helped him follow his entrepreneurial dream. I couldn't ask for anything more.
Yeah, it's one thing to like conceptualize impact. It's another thing to like hear like a individual story of exactly how it impacted a person.
Yeah, and especially for something like this, where it's like it's your living, it's your livelihood.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I also want to shout out the Mantle team. You guys, you really did something special with TechConic. We're gonna miss you. Thank you for everything. It was great to catch up with those guys too.
Yeah. It was really fun. I mean, Oren's a buddy. He's a bro. So even if I do beat him up really bad at jiu-jitsu, keep trading, Oren. We'll fight again. Anybody out there who does jiu-jitsu, I'll fight you anytime.
I'll fight you. But when did you train with Oren? Or
it was around summer last year. Actually, we did a partner meetup in Ottawa.
Sounds like it's time for a rematch.
Was it summer? I want to say it was March last year.
Still
maybe March or April.
He's had like a year,
Man, he's got 2 kids. Kids are a handful. It's hard to do your training and then have young kids at the same time. It happens all the time in jiu-jitsu, where
that makes sense. Yeah.
People have kids and then they disappear for a couple of years, and then once their kids are old enough, they
come back.
Yeah. So totally makes sense. So your time will come. No path is a straight path. Just like an entrepreneurial journey, no path is a straight path.
And if it is, you'll probably go crazy. So maybe don't. The straightest way isn't always the best way.
Yeah.
We're all humans after all.
Yeah. So that was a really heartwarming story there, and I think my highlight of the whole thing. Something that was really interesting for me as well was so many people stopped me to ask me about, hey, what did you do with this whole EU right of withdrawal thing? And I think we left a vacuum there, as far as our messaging around that and getting ahead of that. I was on vacation, and I had my like vacation responder on for the first time in 10 years. So, but there was that. But like ultimately what it seemed like to me is that there's just a tremendous amount of FUD going on around the EU right of withdrawal.
Yeah.
People just making it out to be way bigger of a deal than it actually is. And when I got back, like we did walk through for a couple of merchants who reached out to us and like had a conversation with us. They were concerned about it as well because of the FUD that they were seeing. And I read through the entire directive. Now, I'm no lawyer, right? But I know how to read.
Yeah.
And reading through the document, it was so clear that it was absolutely a nothing burger. And because it's legal, it's scary.
Right.
But if you're used to reading legal documents like that, it's really nothing. And ultimately, there was nothing that was required of that directive that a Google form with an autoresponder couldn't have taken care of for you.
Yeah.
And if your brand's selling into the EU, if you didn't already have for whatever reason, you didn't already have a return policy, just means now you have a 14-day return policy. All right. And if you already had a return policy, of 30 days, whatever, all you had to do is put up a form for this right of withdrawal. And ultimately, your right of withdrawal, it only has to say that you've confirmed and accepted it, right? Or I don't even think you have to accept it, just that you confirmed the receipt of a right of withdrawal. And you know what? Every merchant does off of that is they then auto respond with a link to their returns page, and you can send where the customer can go, then send back, the product and process the return. And and then there's certain products that are exempt from these requirements, consumables,
Right.
products, makeup, those that type of thing that you reasonably cannot accept a return for. But it's really a nothing burger. All right.
Yeah, it was interesting because I saw a lot of people, especially on LinkedIn, as LinkedIn can sometimes do,
Yeah.
a lot of people who were just like acting like the sky was falling, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't really get it. And they're like, oh, this is going to affect merchants so much. They're they're going to get so many cancellations because there's no friction from a cancellation or a withdrawal anymore. And I'm
Oh,
like,
geez.
I think we're maybe getting a little carried away here,
Yeah.
guys.
Definitely carried away.
But
Because
at the end of the day, too, I do think that there is something to be said for why that order editing flexibility is so important now. Like basically, I did have some conversations with merchants about this and other like partners too who asked about it. And like basically the position is like, and everything you just laid out is exactly what I said. But then on top of that, like I feel like the case for order editing is even stronger now. Because if you don't give your customers options for the things that they want to do with their order, they're just gonna withdraw it.
Yeah.
Or they're gonna cancel it.
Well, I mean, withdrawals aside, because withdrawals that's a nothing burger, right?
Right.
Like there's really nothing to it. They're just gonna return it or whatever. Like, fine, all right. I mean, they were gonna return it anyway.
Right, but like if they're gonna return it, that's more expensive than just canceling it, or that's more expensive than changing an item on it. But the point is like if that's something that you're really scared of, if you're scared of customers withdrawing their orders, then you should be actively giving them options.
Yeah, you should be giving them options along the way where they can make an early decision if it's possible.
Exactly.
Right. And you're absolutely 100% right there. And what I want to point out for brands in the EU who are like kind of looking at this problem, and we're gonna make like a really good video series about this as well. It's cool. Yeah, but what I want to point out there is that there's the cancellation period or the cancellation before the item ships out or the order ships out. Yes, definitely give them all the options. Give them the ability to, not have to receive the order first and then send it back. But that has nothing to do with the right of withdrawal. The right of withdrawal starts when the customer receives the package.
Yep.
When they get delivery of the order.
Yeah.
Right. It's not when they place the order, it's when they delivered the order.
Yeah.
And so that from there, the 14-day timer starts.
Yep.
Right. And so that's your return policy. At that point in time, if they didn't want it, they were going to return it anyway. Right. That's why the right of withdrawal is so boring.
Yeah.
That's why there's nothing to it.
I'm not gonna lie. I saw some people in our same space, in the order editing space, who were like going around LinkedIn saying, we solved that problem. And I was just like scratching my head. I'm like, bro, did you read?
Yeah.
I don't think you get it. But anyway.
So it's, it was funny.
Yeah.
Is what I will say to that. So ultimately though, you want to limit those returns regardless, right? So right of withdrawal aside, it's just a return. And so limit the number of returns that you're going to get. Argument for that has always been just give customers, the ability to cancel without having to talk to having to go to support or anything like that. Their order if they decided that they changed their mind for whatever reason it might have been. Maybe they were ordering in the middle of the night and they were really high. All right. We've seen that cancellation reason before. Maybe they ordered something for their partner and then they broke up. We've seen that as well. Maybe somebody's son stole their wallet and placed an order. We've also seen that.
I've seen some funny stuff.
So, one of these days we'll have to like anonymize a couple of other cancellation reasons. Let's see what the top funny reasons are. And
a lot of drunk shoppers shopping late.
A lot of drunk shoppers, a lot of late night shoppers, compulsive shopping, and sometimes forgetting what you order is the fun.
Yeah, that way you get to surprise yourself.
Yeah, like I routinely receive packages where I'm like, what did I buy? And generally it's oh man, I'm like on a vintage clothing on eBay kick.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. That camel jacket that I have, I wear all the time. Actually, I wore here. That is a 1970s U.S. Army jungle jacket.
That's awesome. It is really cool.
Yeah,
It's
it's very cool. It's great for travel because it's got so many pockets. and stuff. I'm like constantly putting things in there. There's like my glasses wipe and my boarding pass, my phone, and then the AirPods and stuff, like all sorts of stuff.
Good utility.
Snacks, Skittles mostly.
Skittles.
Yeah.
Okay.
Skittles are plain snacks. So,
Skittles are place snacks.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
yeah.
For me, it's like pretzels or Cheez-Its. I like Cheez-Its.
you can Cheez-Its guy.
I like Cheez-Its. Yeah,
it'd be a Cheez. Yeah.
What's your like? If you're like, with the aisle cart, people coming by and like giving out drinks. What do you get from them? You just get, are you a water guy, Coke guy, ginger ale guy,
I'm a soda water. I'm like a club soda guy.
club soda?
And then I will do, it's either club soda or coffee, depending.
Sure.
If it's early enough in the morning, like if it's a 5 a.m. flight, no coffee, because that way I could just sleep.
Smart.
And then if it's, past 10 a.m. or something, I'll have the coffee.
Mhm.
And then, it's like, and then there'll be like a fruit snacks, or I don't know which airline does this, but some airline has like these sweet onion Maui sweet onion pretzels.
Pretzels.
Yeah.
When I think
they're
of
like pretzel twists.
I've definitely had like
So-
Maui sweet onion like kettle potato chips. Those are
Okay.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's the same flavor. Trader Joe's has like these pretzel sticks again now as well. Carol loves so. And so, yeah, that to me, that's what flying on a plane tastes like. So, yeah. How about you?
Once again, it does depend, right? So I think my go-to in general is ginger ale. I like a good ginger ale. I don't ever
Yeah.
drink it anywhere else
That's
on a
the
plane.
classic plane drink.
Yeah, it's just really
for some
nice.
reason, yeah.
Or it's just like water or coffee, that's it.
Yeah, I'm pretty boring. Yeah, I don't drink anymore. So, it used to be I'd hop on and, maybe I'll order a beer or something, especially if I'm in like, premium economy plus or whatever. But I just don't drink anymore. And so it's not a thing.
Yeah, I generally don't have drinks on a plane, Maybe every once in a while. If it's a really long flight, maybe.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's like generally like I don't really want to be. I want to be drinking when I'm having fun, not when I'm stuck in a tin can with a bunch of other people.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think that became a thing just because I think people were so nervous about flying and stuff.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
But it's still, it became part of the culture of flying too, So.
I do love a good airport beer though.
Okay.
I like having a beer before the flight.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not on the flight.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. If ultimately I am completely run down, I might have something just as a, like just to help me.
sure. Yeah, just like a little
Like
extra.
it's like a little blanket, right?
Mhm.
It's like my little beer blanket.
Yep.
Or Bloody Mary.
Bloody Mary's great.
Bloody Mary.
Mhm.
Or Caesar, as it were in Canada.
Is that what they call it here?
Yeah, because it's made with clamato instead of just straight up tomato juice.
Interesting. That actually.
I think is the call anyway. There's just a little bit more umami to it. It doesn't taste clammy.
Yeah, I had one last year. Now that I think about it, when we had one at the airport last year on the way back.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
right. That's
yeah.
right. It was good.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
good. And like if you're doing like a northern Mexico style michelada, then you're using I prefer clamato than just tomato juice. Hey friends, this is Andrew and Josh from another space and time. We had some camera overheating issues while we were recording, and we ended up having to re-record the end there. The audio just was absolute trash, and we couldn't do anything. We ended up talking about micheladas and Mexican beers, specifically Pacificos, Modelo Especials, and Tecate. And Josh and I have a very key disagreement about that, don't we, Josh?
Yeah, well, I mean, you said that you can't tell the difference, or nobody could tell the difference between a Pacifico, a Modelo, and a Tecate, and that's just patently wrong. I guarantee you, I can tell the difference between those three beers, and we'll put it to the test at some point. But then you also mentioned once it's a Michelada, you can't tell the difference for sure. 100%, 100%.
100%. You cannot tell the difference.
So I also disagree with you that it's not 100%, and I am willing to take that challenge. So one of these days, we're gonna have to do it. We're gonna have to settle this. We'll do it in person, so you can't claim that I cheated. And we're running this test.
Okay, yeah, we'll do a blind taste test.
Well,
We'll do the whole thing. Yeah, but we'll spare you all the full disagreement on that, because I think Josh and I ended up really getting into it on this. We have opinions on it. But then otherwise, I think we just had, we're just closing it out, our conversation, and we had a bunch of people that we wanted to shout out, our friends at Zapiet, Emily Horncastle, Andrew Cargill, who, we co-sponsored the Epic Party YOLO event with, and it was just, man, like those two really know how to throw a party, And then also Jamil, Lisa, Sam, Matt, Sarah from Partner Meetup and Smarter Ships, who we also co-sponsored the Cowboy Corral party with, and that's also just as epic. I mean, there's how many people are there, Josh? Like 600?
It was a lot. It was over 600, I think, were on the attendee list. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. Yeah, it was a really great party. Just a fun event to be able to see everyone at and get the whole community together and just have a good time. Whether or not we were able to get around and chat with you or not, I always try to like float around through the room, but it's a lot of people. So, and oh man, there's so many more people that I just need to shout out to, and just dear friends and people who are just becoming closer and closer friends and partners in this ecosystem. Diana, Roddy, Sharon, Adrian, Eric, Matt, Trudy. I just met Sylvia. She's from Italy. Mega, Jason, Oren, Ryan, Ash, Jamie, Lee Chen, Tina, John, Norbert. Norbert and I had an amazing conversation about just over 10 years. Norbert, this is from Sufio, and how our apps evolve over the years. And for Sufio, they're doing a lot more things now in invoice compliance in the EU, which is kind of incredible. Like 10 years ago, you think, oh, wow, we're just building an invoicing app, that's backed by Shopify orders, right? And then now, as those things grow, as complexity grows, as new requirements change, the great apps out there are following those along so that they can solve problems for merchants. And that's what Norbert and the team over at Sufio does. And then I'm just gonna throw out a couple more names. Neil from Judge Me, Cindy over at Shopify and the B2B team from My Works, and Deb Becca, who's a close friend who wasn't able to make it this year. So
I'm going to add Josiah Hubbard from Helium and Eric Gopi Singh from Creator Commerce as well. Just wanted to tack those on there. But yeah,
yeah,
great.
yeah.
You had a lot of names on there. I'm impressed.
Yeah, and I didn't even all of y'all know your last names. I didn't even bother throwing out last names in there. So all right, so we're gonna close out this episode here. We'll see you guys on the next one.
See you on
Cheers.
the next one. Cheers.